Darkstar is an interactive movie that's also a bit of a video game.
I think Darkstar is a fantastic mystery.
Psychedelic, time-traveling, cult classic comedy camp thing.
Hollywood actors, futuristic animation, fast-paced music, and a lot of creativity, I understand.
You're stuck in space, and you've lost your memory, and you've got to figure out a whole bunch of stuff.
It's a giant fantasy world, and we're in it.
Right, and you get killed a bunch of ways.
That's your fantasy.
Well, you know.
Figure out what you can and try not to die.
They have created something that they hope will keep kids and adults on the edge of their desk chairs, glued to their computer screen.
That's the best I can explain it.
An homage to everything funky that is science fiction, that if Ziggy Stardust existed and he landed in Nixa, Missouri, and he had a whole bunch of computers, this is what he would make.
It's like being in a movie, but you can go anywhere you want and do anything you want.
I mean, for me, it felt like a book that I couldn't put down.
You're looking around and go, this is incredibly detailed. Here's some wine over here, and in the little robots room, there's posters and things.
It's a very unique piece of entertainment in that it is a game in the sense that it's completely interactive, and you discover the story by exploration and this kind of thing, and solving puzzles and so forth. But it's completely story driven. It's not driven by the type of achievement and skill acquisition and other stuff that you find in other video games. It's really all about a story and about character. And so it's really more of a movie, but with you in control of the movie.
All of these things just keep opening up to you. Different puzzles that you do open up different doors and additional video clips and sequences. And there's chapters that you move through as you go through the game. So this story really gets fleshed out in a really lovely way.
The game is really a mystery of not just finding out what happened, but finding out who you are.
You're lost in the spaceship. You have no idea who you are. You wake up and you're basically controlling the main character, who's Captain John O'Neill, and you're trying to discover how you got there and what's going on. And you unlock basically the past by discovering that you're on this mission to go back in time to save humanity.
Well, it started out as a little story in my head, and then it came time to do a screenplay. So I was already acquainted with Trace. We were already kind of talking about how we do this.
Yeah, it was about 2000, maybe 2000, or maybe a little before that Jeff came out to California.
And my idea was to let him write the screenplay.
Some guy with an idea, and you get that a lot. People come up and go, hey, I got a screenplay you should read, or I got this idea on a piece of paper.
It's something anybody needs to know about Trace. He'll always say yes.
Well, Jeff came out to California, and he was going to shoot in Orange County. And we went and toured a lot of facilities, and I said, you don't want to shoot here.
And so I met him on my 40th birthday, and he brought me a present. He brought me a coffee mug from the Los Angeles County Coroner's gift shop, which I thought was the most appropriate birthday gift I could ever have gotten. And then he told me, I said, do you shop there often? And he said, yeah, I do. It's where I get a lot of my clothes, because he has to walk in really bad parts of certain towns. And he says, if you're wearing an LA Coroner's jacket with the big yellow letters that big, nobody messes with you.
And Jeff just kept coming back, and then he kept sending me all these graphics.
Because I wanted to go into the shoot with illustrations of the rooms these people would be in. I wanted them to be able to visualize, because I was going to be throwing them up on a green screen where they would have zero idea of who they were, what they were doing, and I wanted to give them some direction.
I mean, it's just you and the camera and the green screen and like a C-stand, which is now your control panel, and just some vague understanding of the environment that you're in.
In the beginning, I was not doing the editing, I was not doing the animating, I was not writing the screenplay.
The idea that a guy in Missouri, who's not even anywhere near Hollywood or New York or the main centers of the entertainment industry, could pull together.
I mean, I think that it kind of snowballed on him, and it became bigger than any of us understood it would.
It just grows and grows on me how one person pulled this off. This is like 10 years of work that this one man has put into this. And I've been in entertainment for almost 30 years, and nobody gets to pull anything off by themselves. That somebody's been able to do this is a massive achievement.
Goodbye, Captain.
Escape from the Westwick is bittersweet, isn't it? You've eluded the pain from the past and the dangers of the present, but fled into the arms of a dark, empty future.
Jesus! You fools, you stupid fool. Wonderful. The place is haunted.
To keep the ambition throughout the whole process without just getting dejected and derailed is tremendous. And, you know, in my case, I remember I tried to do an animated short once and failed after like 2 weeks. So.
I'm really impressed with the fact that one person made this game. I mean, there was a little bit of supportive help here, but basically it's Jeff in his basement making this thing come to fruition. His vision in CG.
You know, I admire that he took this huge, long journey and has now come out the other end with something that looks really cool and is really fun, and I'm really happy to be a part of that.
And because we have one man dedicated to creating this world that he's conceived in his own brain, it has so much character and personality to it that it makes it very special.
The possibility of getting a feature-length film on movie screens that a guy out of Missouri produced without going through the Hollywood system is next to impossible. You know, I might be looking at getting into some film, festivals and that kind of thing, but that would be the best I would probably do. And I wasn't interested in that. I wanted something that had legs, that I'd have a possibility of having an end result and something that was marketable.
It's completely different from the way Hollywood does things.
You could probably do this cheaper if it's just green screen. There's probably places in Missouri you can shoot that are much cheaper. So I talked myself out of shooting in an easy location, which is an hour away, and flying to St. Louis.
I was flying out to this place in Missouri that I never heard of, and he sounded, I have to say, sounded very competent, as he always does, very together. And Parallax Studios, I didn't know what Parallax Studios was, or whether it was a behemoth of a studio in this place, or it was a one-bedroom apartment. But I discovered it was somewhere in the middle.
I was fortunate enough to just have to drive 20 minutes to North Hollywood and shoot my scene, so it worked out perfectly for me.
The thing that made Darkstar different for me was the freedom that I was given to make choices. I mean, I was really given carte blanche to make some daring choices and to put my own stamp on it. And Jeff was really supportive of that, and he just said, go with it. And so I ran, and we came up with this. And he's been such a joy to work with because he's so dedicated to it. I mean, clearly he's dedicated to it. 10 years of his life he's dedicated to being in his basement, rendering all the CG. I mean, I'm mind-boggled by the scope of it.
And then he kept sending me all these graphics and little sequences, and they just kept piling up. And I go, well, who's doing all this stuff for you? I said, well, I'm doing it all myself. And he's like, really? It's like every square inch of this game is Jeff